All right, on Saturday night at the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner, well, amid reports that Biden has grown frustrated with the press coverage of his failures, he urged them to alter their coverage as we get closer to November. Take a look.
Move past the horse race numbers and the gotcha moments and the distractions, the sideshows that have come to dominate and sensationalize our politics. And focus on what's actually at stake. And I think in your hearts you know what's at stake.
And apparently at least some of them listened, because Georgie Stephanopoulos echoed his remarks the very next morning on ABC. Take a look.
It's all too easy to fall into reflexive habits, to treat this as a normal campaign where both sides embrace the rule of law, where both sides are dedicated to a debate based on facts and the peaceful transfer of power. But that is not what's happening this election year. Those bedrock tenets of our democracy are being tested in a way we haven't seen since the Civil War. It's a test for the candidates, for those of us in the media, and for all of us as citizens.
Okay, like the weaponization, let's see, lawfare, weaponization of our Justice Department. George does not address any of Joe's failures. He ignores the obvious cognitive decline. The so-called journalist is basically like everyone else in the mob and the media today, pretending to be a journalist when he is secretly nothing but a liberal talk show host hack. You might remember he worked for Bill Clinton, caught threatening a reporter in his 1992 campaign when he was working for Bill Clinton. You might remember.
What is names, address? I can send you a fax with names, addresses, phone numbers of who you had an affair with. It wouldn't make it true. It is completely. If you went on the radio and said that Bill Clinton is the father of an illegitimate black child, you would be laughed at. People would think you're crazy. I guarantee you that if you do this, you'll never work in Democratic politics again.
You'll never work again. Oh, that's not a threat, is it? Here with reaction, Fox News contributors Joe Concha and Tammy Bruce. All right, so the bedrock tenets of democracy are being threatened, Tammy. And he goes on to say, well, I would say a bedrock tenet is justice. How come he didn't bring up in the process of all of that the weaponization of our own Department of Justice? How come he didn't bring up any of Biden's issues cognitively? You know, pretty amazing that those facts were missed.
Well, indeed, because, you know, once a Democrat operative, always a Democrat operative. He's not just a liberal hack. This is a guy that clearly is taking the lead in the request of the party leader to issue propaganda. That's what the Joe Biden call for, was to a room full of media that is supposed to be looking at him with suspicion and are supposed to be reporting on him with clarity. And it becomes a meeting of collusion. It's a journalist, but in the open with everyone in, you know, gala suits and black tie and tuxedos. I mean, it's a remarkable thing. And then Stephanopoulos, with a straight face, says to the American people and to media, we've got to do propaganda, because that's what the ask was for. And this is how desperate they are. And the question becomes, what is it that they're so afraid of losing? Is it not, it's not their job, clearly, to cover a president. They were not fair to President Trump. They clearly are running cover for Joe Biden. The American system relies on a media that can be trusted as a genuine, independent arbiter of the truth, of investigations, and of what's important. So this is what the American people saw. I mean, that whole White House Correspondents' Dinner should never occur. They're covering and laughing with and sitting on a dais with and palling it up with the people that they should feel comfortable telling the truth about. And the only person who was willing to say enough with this, I don't need your pat on the back, was Donald Trump. And that's how it should be, is a president should be interested in doing his work, not telling the media how to cover him. And you can fight it out with the media, that's fine. But this is now the media. It's this turnstile with people like Stephanopoulos and Jake Tapper and other people who have come from the party to continue their work on media.
And they call themselves journalists, Joe Concha. They're not journalists.
They're activists, right, for the most part. Not all, but many, a good chunk, that's certainly for sure. But again, if we're keeping score at home, to Tammy's point, George Stephanopoulos, Bill Clinton's former miniature pit bull, the guy who, as you showed, suppressed information about his boss, threatened reporters while he served in that administration, before later moving to ABC News to become its chief news anchor. Apparently, this is the guy who's going to save democracy by telling voters how they should think, and we're supposed to trust him on what is and isn't newsworthy when it comes to Joe Biden and Donald Trump. That dog don't hunt. Maybe we could have Jen Psaki and James Carville moderate a Biden-Trump debate while we're at it, right? So these are the kind of self-righteous declarations that are nothing new by prominent media members in the Trump era. We've seen CNN and MSNBC refuse to show Donald Trump making live remarks after primary victories this year because they say they don't want to allow liars on their air, only to proceed to do interviews with federal inmate number 438, otherwise known as Michael Avenatti, literally from prison. Or they'll hang on every word when talking to the beacons of truth, known as Adam Schiff and Michael Cohen. So it would have been fascinating to see the looks on their faces when they saw those polls over the weekend come out showing Trump up by 5, Trump up by 6, Trump up by 9 nationally, and ahead or at least tied in every state, because that shows how out of touch they are with the American people outside of deep blue cities when it comes to talking about the issues they care about. Not lawfare, but inflation, energy prices, crime, the border, and chaos happening on American campuses and around the world.
If this election is about the issues you just referred to, I think Donald Trump wins, by and far away. But they will want to make this about abortion and do the bidding for the Democrats. They'll want to make it about democracy in peril. They'll want to make it about January 6th. They'll want to make it about Trump, and they'll call Republicans every name as they do every election: racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, transphobic, and they want dirty air and water. That's the whole campaign. I can sum up the next 189 days. Anyway, good to see you both. Tammy, thank you. Joe, thank you.